I think we're live.
We are.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I guess we will get started then. My name is Georgie. I am a reporter for both the Democrat Chronicle and the USA Today Network's New York State team. I normally travel a lot for work, but I'm working from home, and I'm here with my friend Victoria.
Hello. Hi.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're fine. I'm Victoria. I am a reporter also at the Democrat and Chronicle, and I am also working from home. And this is Joe, my older son, who's 3.5.
Yeah, so we today are going to talk about what a lot of people are doing now, hopefully many people are doing now, which is working from home and the struggles that come with it, the good things that come with it, the things that we're learning that work and things that don't. So I first want to ask you, Victoria, now that we're on like week 3 of this, like what are you finding is really helpful for you to make this, work? I mean, you're juggling a lot every day.
Yeah, it's a lot every day, but we're officially at 3 weeks in yesterday because my younger son, who's napping right now, was out a couple days before everybody else was. So I've been working at home for a bit, and we found my husband is also working from home. He's on the other end of our dining room table, and he and I basically just trade back and forth as people have. I don't know what he's doing. As people have urgent matters that we need to attend to. Yes, Joe. Joe. Not right now, buddy. But Joe, sorry guys.
That's okay.
But basically we trade back and forth. He does a lot without kids after they've gone to bed, and I get up early in order to get a couple hours in before they get up. So and I try to get not right now, buddy. And I try to get a few hours if possible in while the younger one's napping, and we only have one guy. And he's a little bit more, he's 3.5, and the younger one, that's my husband going by, is 18 months old. So they, you can leave the older one a little bit, but not the younger one so much. So it's a work in progress, and we try to give ourselves grace, but we're figuring it out as we go, as you can see.
Right. And like, it can't be easy. And there's people who are even trying to like teach their kids like schoolwork and balance that on top of it. And like, I don't know, how are you guys? What are you doing when you're not working? Does it feel like life is normal, or are there things you guys are doing differently as a family now that your whole routine is out the window?
Well, the whole routine is completely out the window. Joe, I need you to go with Dad, please.
Example A.
It's a whole thing. So yeah, our whole routine is really out the window. My husband doesn't typically work at home. I don't typically work at home. I'm usually in the office and everything, as I'm sure most people are. With our younger kids, every age is obviously going to have different challenges. And for us, with them being, their age, they can do some things that they'd normally be doing. They're still playing with each other. They're still running around outside because we fortunately do have a big yard. We're drawing on the sidewalk in front of our house with chalk quite often. And I've tricked them into picking up sticks as part of a fun activity. But it doesn't always work. I mean, yeah, he distracted me a little bit from what the rest of that question was. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I find that like I don't have children. It's not something that I have to deal with. So I have a huge appreciation for like what you're juggling every day. Juggling every day with like, raising a family in a way that you've never had to do it before, while also working a full-time job that's extremely demanding.
There's a lot of togetherness for sure, and I mean, my typical day isn't a straight 7.5 hour, 8 hour work day. I have a break in the middle, well, not the middle, but after a couple hours to get the kids to daycare. But I usually have an uninterrupted, 5 to 6 hour chunk that I'm at the office, and that's just not realistically happening right now. So I end up, and I think a lot of people are in this position where you work a couple hours and then you're not working a couple hours, but you're answering work related calls or messages or emails as best you can in that time frame, even just to set things up for when you know you do have time. I think a lot of people are working that way as well, just to make it work and try to be as productive as you can in this this whole situation.
Right. It's kind of this like you're working on and off all day long. Like I got up this morning at 6 and worked on a story for 2 hours, and then I stopped what I was doing and took my dog for a walk, and then like you keep your phone with you and you're still checking emails. It's this weird like there's no distance between like work and home anymore because your home is your office. Like
and I know my husband has worked from home full time in the past, so he knows the balance a little bit better than I do. And I remember him multiple times saying he goes a bit stir crazy in the house, and he's talking to no one but himself and people who are on their phone.
Right.
And some days I'm going to see more of 1 hour here, 1 hour there, but it does. I agree. It does feel a lot like you wake up, you start working, and you don't stop working until bedtime. And typically I'm done by a certain time of day, and I'm not anymore. But I also am taking 2 to 3 hour times that I'm not working in the middle of the day, which I wasn't doing before. So it's just different.
Right. And you're still, we're all getting everything done that we were getting done before. So I think that's a good sign that it's working, but it looks so different for everyone now that like there's no distinction between being at the office and being
that.
Like kids and stuff everywhere. Like I can't tell you how many times I've been on a phone call and my dog sees move outside and it's like loud barking in the middle, and it's just like stuff that normally would feel really unprofessional or like kind of embarrassing is just so normal.
I've actually started a lot of my interview calls with an apology of letting people know ahead of time. I have 2 really young toddlers that really don't grasp the whole don't interrupt mommy while she's on the phone. And everyone's received it really well. My younger son actually depantsed me while I was on the phone several times yesterday. So that I just finally gave up, left him off, and I was like, whatever.
Just gotta kind of go with the flow. And hope that people are forgiving of the situation that you're in,
Yeah, it's what it is, and that's okay. And I know at some point we're going to look back at this and have some great stories to tell, and we're making some good memories that are definitely not ones we would have been making otherwise. So I'm trying to think of it that way.
Right. Do you feel like it's been hard to find time for you yourself and like trying to work that into the mix?
On weekdays, yes, but I fortunately haven't been working weekends thus far to this. So on those days, I mean, yes, I'm still not getting alone time away from my children or anything, but that at least takes the work equation out of it in the meantime, which is something. So that gives a little bit less of the craziness in that moment. And there they go.
In doing interviews with other people for work, like, are you finding that you're having conversations about how their lives have changed you outside of what you were asking them about for?
Most definitely, yes. And a lot of them, bless their hearts, have asked how it's gone for me as well. I mean, people definitely care, and perhaps it's because they hear my children on the other end of the phone.
Right.
People have definitely reached out about that while we're interviewing about something entirely different, including, crime-related stuff. So it's
right. And I don't know. I feel like I've had that too. Like I've had people like where we normally wouldn't get so personal or so like, step outside of the subject matter we were going to cover to talk about like what each of us is experiencing, So I thought those are kind of nice that people are, I think, friendlier than they normally might have been.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising at a time where everyone's like stressed out and scared.
I agree. Yeah, it's nice that people are definitely connecting in that way. I mean, the reason isn't ideal, but I've definitely felt like people have reached out about that, so that's good. One thing we've struggled with is getting out of pajamas by the middle of the day. So there's that.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you. I was going to say, like, what are you struggling with? What is the most difficult like stuff that you every day, like you wake up and you're like, you know what, today's the day, I'm gonna do it, and then it just doesn't happen?
Well, I can tell you we have consumed an obscene amount of coffee here. And that's okay. We are coffeeaholics to begin with. Some days we're really good. Every day the boys are pretty good about getting up. Usually the younger one is out by 9 a.m. and the older one fights me on it. And he is actually still in pajamas right now, but that was because I was letting them play in the sandbox earlier and I figured why change them twice. So we were running around probably about an hour ago in the yard with pajamas, rain boots, and coats. Playing kickball.
Like whatever works.
Sorry, it works. I mean, I figured if they were going to get it dirty, why not get the thing dirty that was already dirty? So when he comes.
Looks like I might have lost Victoria. Oh, is she there?
Yeah, that's probably our biggest struggle though right now. Getting appropriately dressed.
Yeah. So with I mean, what's your advice to other like parents who are working at home with little kids, if you have any? Or maybe there is no advice to give and it's just a free for all and good luck, everyone.
Give yourself grace. I mean, it's what works one day isn't going to work the next day, and that's okay. None of us have been through this before. I mean, people have worked from home before. I've definitely worked at home with them at home, but not in a way that we couldn't go out and go anywhere. So my husband and I have pretty much, minus one trip to the grocery store for him and a trip to the pediatrician with the youngest for me, we've been here for 3 weeks. Which, I mean, normally if we've been home that long, we do something. I mean, we go to the zoo, we've been to the grocery store as a family, something like that. And none of that's happening. So that's been probably, and I know other people are struggling with this as well. And I feel like we're super blessed that we have such a big yard that we can run around in, but we found that, out in front of our house, it's a struggle to have the kids out front or even to take a walk or take the stroller out because we can't really maintain the social distancing that we need to with a big double stroller. And I didn't even think about that until we tried it. So that's kind of a frustration of mine because I'd love to be running with them right now, but I can't really maneuver around people with a double jogging stroller very easily and actually be the right amount away. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, so there's that. But and I've definitely had the awkward struggle of drawing on the front sidewalk with chalk, and it's a place that a lot of people are walking by. So if my oldest is in the middle of doing something and people walk by, I ask him to come with me to get away from the sidewalk, and either he's really good about it or I have to pick him up kicking and screaming, which is incredibly awkward.
Right.
Like, hi, random stranger. It's not you.
Right.
It's not you, honest. But I mean, better safe than sorry. And it would probably be fine. But we already had an incident where a lovely lady who was complimenting our artwork we kept backing up and she kept coming closer and we're like, no. So after that, I was kind of like, we got to really do this when people aren't out. So we've been spending more time in the back, but it's just, these are two little boys that need to run outside and blow off steam. And we're just trying to do the best we can with it.
Right. And like that, like is hard because they are at a point where they can comprehend like the actual inherent danger that comes with that they're used to doing, you know?
Right. And the younger one, I mean, he has no idea what's happening. He's like, oh, we're home again. Okay, whatever. And it's great in one way because I'm seeing him, learn all these words that he didn't know before. He now, he says ball, he says roar, as Georgie got to hear earlier. He roared for her.
The cutest little lion roar. It's like this deep little,
it's really cute.
But so there are these like moments that you might have missed out on if you were at work that now you get to be a part of, which is kind of cool.
Right. And we've actually been FaceTiming my mother, who's in Pennsylvania, my sister, who lives in Tennessee, and her little boy, and cousins that are down in Pennsylvania, and we've been doing like little shared story times, and his grandparents that live down in the Catskills. So we're keeping in touch with people, and we try to do one of those at least a day so they can see people. But the older one keeps asking why we can't go see people, and he wants to go see his friends, and he wants to go to the zoo. And
don't we all?
I mean, I'm with him. I tell him, we can't do that right now. We need to stay in. I try to explain it a little bit, but very basic terms. And I mean, obviously it's very different depending on the age of your kid or children, I should say. So.
Right. And I think like the experience is different for everyone, but I think we still feel that frustration too. I mean, I wake up and I'm like, I really just want to go to work. Like, I just want to see my coworkers again. Or like, what if we all went in and like nobody got near each other? Like, could we do it? And you feel so desperate to have that connection,
Yeah, absolutely. I know my husband's feeling the same as well, because he doesn't work from home anymore. He works in an office building, and he's contemplated going in more than once, as he literally is lifting weights right now on the porch. But I mean, he wouldn't be doing that in the office, I can tell you that. So.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely different, and I miss people. Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no way to like sort of end this on like a really warm and fuzzy positive. Like, it kind of sucks, and we all have to like deal with it on a day-by-day basis.
Right.
And, I know that with some of my coworkers, with like Sarah, our coworker Sarah Taddeo, and I will on occasion eat lunch together. So we'll Skype together and eat lunch and talk. And, for a minute there, you kind of forget that things aren't normal, but there's just,
Right.
I don't know. It's a really strange thing. It was nice when, because you and I both would work from home normally,
Right,
outside of this. And so that was fine because it was convenient. And now that it's mandatory, it feels a little less fun to be doing that,
I get that. I totally get that. I start every day at home, so that's not abnormal to me. So, and they're like this morning, for example, I wrote 2 stories before 7 a.m., which happens all the time. Yeah. And then and my workflow's changed a lot, because I typically cover breaking news, and I'm not doing as much of that now because I'm chasing 2 toddlers at the same time. Right. So there are days where I can do that, but most days I can't. So now I'm working on a lot more longer term things, which is great. And I'm enjoying being able to do that, but it's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah. And like for me previously, like I was out of town every other week for work. I was traveling, different places across New York State for stuff. The last trip I made was earlier in March, like March 10th, I was in Albany, and like, I remember being on that trip and being like, I think this is the last time I'm going to get to go somewhere for a while. So yeah, all doing different stuff. I mean, I never would have called myself a beat reporter. I never reported on one specific thing, for an extended period of time, but now we've all become coronavirus beat reporters, and like, it's different, but it's a good challenge, I think. And it's a good reminder too, that we had it really, really good, before all this happened. And that, things were, it just makes you grateful for what you have, I
agree.
So, I think we will leave it at that. I'm so glad I got to see your face, Victoria.
Thank you. It's really nice. It's really nice to see your smiling face. We'll have to do it more often.
Yeah, maybe you and I can do lunch one of these days.
That would be fun. The boys will join you and they'll roar for you.
I'm really totally okay with that. I think that would be good. So, I guess I will leave it at that, and I will thank everyone for joining us and watching, and hopefully we'll get to be back out in the community soon.
Hopefully so. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thanks, everyone.